Take a good look at that bag of rice sitting in your pantry. Go ahead, I'll wait. It looks pretty innocent, right? Maybe it's great value from Walmart, or a big bag of generic long grain from Kroger. It just says rice. Maybe there's a picture of a steaming bowl, looking wholesome and satisfying. You cook it up, feed it to your family, thinking you're hitting them with that healthy, affordable staple that's fueled humanity for centuries. But what if I told you that innocent-looking grain is hiding a toxic little secret the multi-billion-dollar rice industry is desperate for you to ignore? What if that steaming bowl you're serving isn't just fluffy rice, but a delivery mechanism for something far darker? It freezes you, doesn't it? That sensation in the back of your throat, that slight hesitation every time you scoop another serving for your kids. It's not just paranoia, it's a red flag your intuition is waving. And it's time we finally pay attention. The promise here is simple. By the time you finish this video, you won't just be better informed, you'll be practically an expert, navigating the rice aisle with more confidence than 90% of the people pushing carts. We're going to blow the lid off the industry's deepest, darkest secrets. You'll find out why the healthy brown rice might actually be worse for you in a terrifying way. I'll show you exactly how to cook your rice to literally wash away the poison the companies pretend isn't there. We'll break down which famous brands, the ones you trust, the ones sitting on your shelf right now, are selling you contaminated garbage. We are going to expose the massive fraud behind premium rice, where you're paying top dollar for basmati but getting cheap fillers. And stick around to the very end, because the most shocking, industry-shaking revelation about the single biggest determinant of rice safety, something that completely changes how you shop, is saved for last. This isn't just about food. It's about not being a victim of marketing deception anymore. Before we start naming names and shaming brands, we need to build a knowledge foundation. Think of rice like a car engine. You can't understand why the engine is failing if you don't know how it works in the first place. Quality rice isn't just about looks. It's about what the plant absorbs while it's growing. Imagine rice is like a sponge. Rice plants grow in flooded fields known as paddies, and they are uniquely efficient at sucking up whatever is in that water and soil. This is where the industry's first big gotcha comes in: contamination. We're not talking about a little dust or dirt here. We're talking about arsenic, specifically inorganic arsenic, which is a known human carcinogen. Arsenic gets into the ground through years of pesticide use, specifically in former cotton fields across the American South. The soil remembers, even if the label doesn't. When that rice is grown in that soil, it literally absorbs this poison more effectively than any other major grain. This isn't theoretical. This is fundamental botany meets legacy agricultural mistakes, and the result ends up on your dinner table. Every fact I'm about to give you should be another little bomb going off in your understanding of pure food, building the tension until you just want to grab that bag from your pantry and demand answers. Let's pull back the curtain on the actual brands lining the shelves of your local grocery stores, because this is where the corporate spin completely disintegrates under the weight of laboratory data. We are going to start with the store brands you buy to save a buck and work our way up to the most trusted, iconic names in America. First up is Great Value Rice, the rock-bottom budget option sold by Walmart, a corporation that pulled in over $648 billion in fiscal 2024. When you buy a massive bag of Great Value Rice, that incredibly low price tag comes with a massive hidden catch. The secret to budget domestic rice is that it is almost exclusively sourced as a bulk commodity from the southern United States, specifically Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. Now, why does that matter? Because agricultural history reveals that this exact region was once covered in cotton fields that were heavily treated for decades with arsenic-based pesticides to fight off the boll weevil. Arsenic is an element. It never breaks down. It just sits in the dirt, waiting. When Walmart buys the cheapest anonymous commodity stream to fill those Great Value bags, they refuse to provide origin transparency or publish testing data. You think you're getting a clean, simple staple, but you are actually eating the chemical legacy of 1950s cotton farming. For a multi-hundred billion dollar empire, choosing to pocket the margins instead of testing their lots or sourcing from lower arsenic regions like California is a calculated corporate choice. It tastes like regular rice, it looks fine in the pot, but the invisible burden is passing straight onto your plate. If you think switching to a traditional supermarket brand saves you, think again, because Kroger brand rice runs the exact same play. As the largest traditional supermarket chain in the United States, Kroger competes aggressively on price with Walmart, which means their store brand rice is packaged by anonymous contract suppliers who source from whoever is cheapest that week. This creates a terrifying game of grocery roulette. A bag of Kroger rice bought in January could be from a lower-risk field, while a bag bought in March could be packed with high arsenic southern grain. The label doesn't change, the price stays low, and the consumer is left completely blind. When independent labs look at store-brand commodity rice, the lack of traceability is the single biggest red flag. You are buying into a massive, opaque system that prioritizes pennies over purity. Now let's talk about the household names you grew up with. Mahatma and Carolina Rice, both owned by Riviana Foods, a massive subsidiary of the Spanish multinational Ebro Foods, which dominates the global grain market. These are the familiar, comforting bags with the bright lettering that look like the gold standard of the middle aisle. But if you look closely at a bag of Mahatma or Carolina long grain rice, the label usually just boasts "grown in the USA." That sounds patriotic and safe, right? It's a marketing trick. By hiding behind a broad national label, they obscure the specific state of origin, leaving you unable to verify if that grain came from a clean California field or an old pesticide-soaked southern field. Furthermore, these brands dominate the enriched white rice market. Enriched is one of the most brilliant marketing lies ever invented. It sounds like an upgrade, like they added extra health benefits just for you. In reality, it's a corporate confession. They took the raw grain, stripped away the bran and the germ, which holds all the natural fiber, B vitamins, and minerals, and left you with a starchy, nutritionally hollowed-out carbohydrate. To make it legally marketable, they spray a synthetic mix of iron and folic acid back onto the polished grains. It's like stealing your wallet and handing you back $1 for bus fare. If you already feel like checking your own shelf right now to see what you've been feeding your family, hit that subscribe button, because the convenience options get even harsher from here. Take Success Boil and Bag Rice and Minute Instant Rice, also tucked under that same Ebro Foods corporate umbrella. This is the ultimate convenience trap. Instant and pre-cooked rice goes through an exhausting industrial cycle. It's stripped to white rice, fully cooked at the factory, dehydrated, and packaged. By the time you microwave it or boil it for 5 minutes, whatever microscopic nutritional value it had left is totally dead, and the texture is altered into a soft, structural ghost of real grain. Even worse, you are paying a massive premium per serving for this hollowing out process. Trading your long-term health and wallet for 15 saved minutes, the transparency crisis extends right into the ethnic and specialty aisles with brands like Goya. Goya is the largest Hispanic-owned food company in the United States, a massive staple in millions of kitchens. But their imported and domestic commodity rice lines suffer from the exact same corporate opacity. Imported commodity rice can come from various global regions with wildly inconsistent environmental regulations. While some global sources test lower in arsenic, certain regions suffer from industrial pollution that taints the soil with heavy metals like cadmium and lead. When a brand refuses to provide specific lot testing data, you are consuming a complete mystery. And that brings us to the core scientific reality that independent labs have uncovered. Arsenic is in every single grain of conventional rice. In May 2025, the nonprofit organization Healthy Babies Bright Futures pulled 145 samples from over 100 brands across American stores, including major supermarkets, and found inorganic arsenic in 100% of them. Every single sample. More than a quarter of those samples blew right past the FDA's strict safety limits for infant rice cereal. Because the FDA has only set enforceable limits for baby food, adults and families eating everyday bags have zero federal protection. The drinking water limit for arsenic is 10 parts per billion. Yet a single standard serving of some of these high-contaminant southern rices can blast you with more inorganic arsenic than an entire day's worth of contaminated drinking water. Inorganic arsenic is a Class 1 human carcinogen, directly linked by the EPA to bladder, lung, and skin cancers. It's a cumulative toxin, meaning your body doesn't just flush it out. It builds up in your tissues over decades of repeated exposure, quietly raising risks while the industry smiles and prints pictures of happy farms on the plastic packaging. And here is the ultimate kicker, the brown rice surprise that trips up every single health-conscious shopper. You buy brown rice because it's the whole grain, full of fiber and nutrients. But because arsenic is an element absorbed through water, it concentrates heavily in the outer bran layer of the grain. When white rice is milled and that bran is stripped away, roughly 38% of the arsenic goes with it. Testing consistently shows that conventional brown rice contains significantly more inorganic arsenic than white rice from the exact same field. By trying to make the healthy choice, the industry rewards you with a massive dose of a carcinogen. It turns out the simple rule of brown equals healthy is completely broken by the heavy metal data, and the brands you trust are counting on your ignorance to keep clearing their shelves. And now, what it was worth watching all the way through for. We have waded through the corporate evasion, the legacy pesticide fields, and the hollowing out of the middle aisle, so let's talk about the reward. Finding rice that is safe, pure, and verifiably clean isn't impossible. It just requires shifting your money away from blind commodity blenders and toward producers with actual geographic and laboratory transparency. The good news is you do not need to hunt down rare, imported specialty products from boutique foreign shops. The best, safest options are sitting right on the shelves of American stores like Whole Foods, Target, Costco, and even your local Kroger or Walmart if you know exactly what words to look for. We start with the gold standard of the entire category. The absolute blueprint for how the rice industry should operate, Lundberg Family Farms. Operating out of California's Sacramento Valley, Lundberg completely shatters the corporate wall of silence by doing the one thing the multi-billion-dollar giants refuse to do. They test. They actively monitor their crops for arsenic and heavy metals, commit to rigorous environmental standards, and publish their findings. Because the Sacramento Valley does not share the grim agricultural history of the cotton-growing American South, its soil is inherently vastly lower in legacy heavy metals. When you cook a pot of Lundberg white or brown rice, the physical difference is immediate. The grains hold a clean, distinct structure, lacking that weird chemical aftertaste or mushy breakdown found in cheap store brands. It tastes like actual, honest-to-earth grain. Now, let's be totally candid about the price. Lundberg is not a 10-cent a serving budget commodity. It will run you closer to 50 to 60 cents per serving, depending on whether you buy their organic or conventional lines. It is an investment, absolutely. But you are paying a minimal premium to completely eliminate the guessing game around an invisible Class 1 carcinogen. For families where rice is a foundational staple eaten multiple times a week, that extra change per bowl is the cheapest health insurance you can buy if Lundberg stretches the grocery budget too tight. You can still protect your family by utilizing basic geography, bypassing specific brand names entirely to look for California-grown Calrose or sushi rice. Calrose is a medium-grain variety developed right here in the United States. And when a bag is explicitly stamped California-grown, whether it wears a generic supermarket label or a brand like Botan or Nishiki, you are tapping into a measurably cleaner domestic stream. Laboratory data consistently demonstrates that California-grown medium grains average more than 50% lower in total heavy metals compared to southeastern varieties, sitting at a comfortable 65 parts per billion versus the alarming 151 parts per billion flagged in southern fields. It is a single-ingredient, whole-grain solution that offers incredible starchy, sticky texture perfect for everyday cooking, available at an incredibly reasonable mid-tier price point across mainstream supermarkets for lovers of aromatic rice. The safety solution lies in looking for authentic Thai jasmine rice, specifically bags carrying the official Thai Home Mali government certification seal. Genuine jasmine rice cultivated in the traditional soils of Thailand naturally tests roughly 50% below the United States domestic average for inorganic arsenic. Brands like Three Ladies or Dynasty, which are widely distributed in both mainstream American supermarkets and local Asian grocery stores, provide a clean, highly fragrant, single-ingredient product that delivers a naturally floral aroma without a single drop of synthetic additives or corporate masking agents. The texture is famously light, fluffy, and perfectly separated. While jasmine rice faces a massive global risk of fraud, where greedy blenders cut premium aromatic lots with cheap, non-fragrant filler grains sticking to established. Verified importers who display that official origin seal ensures you are getting exactly what you pay for. Similarly, if you want the ultimate fluffy long-grain experience, you move toward verified Indian or Pakistani basmati rice from historic, highly reputable brands like Royal or Dawat, which are easily found at Costco, Target, and local grocers. Genuine basmati requires the distinct climate and glacial waters at the foot of the Himalayas to develop its iconic elongated shape, nutty flavor, and popcorn-like aroma. From an arsenic perspective, authentic Himalayan basmati is consistently rated among the lowest-risk rice on the planet. However, we must be completely honest and fair in our praise. Global testing has occasionally flagged certain Indian basmati lots as carrying elevated levels of cadmium due to regional soil compositions. While it beats domestic southern rice on arsenic by a landslide, it reinforces why we must never blindly idealize any single food. The ideal approach is to buy from a trusted giant like Royal, which monitors its supply chain, and use it as part of a rotating, intelligent diet, Finally, the most accessible, budget-friendly good option is plain, single-ingredient bulk rice from a explicitly named safe origin. This means avoiding the pre-seasoned boxes, the instant microwave pouches, and the tiny convenience bags completely. When you buy plain, raw rice in bulk from a verified clean region like California or Thailand, you are stripping away the corporate processing markups, the massive sodium dumps, and the synthetic enrichment sprays. You are getting pure, honest food that costs a fraction of the price of processed junk, giving you total control over what enters your body. Every single one of these recommended paths proves that you do not have to abandon this beautiful, ancient staple. You just have to stop buying it blindly from corporations that treat your health like a rounding error on a balance sheet. Now that you know how the industry operates, let's hand you the playbook so you never get tricked at stores like Target, Whole Foods, or Safeway again. Here are 5 concrete, non-negotiable rules for selecting safer rice on your own, the kind of absolute checklist you will want to screenshot before your next grocery run. Rule number 1. Read the bag for an explicit named geographic origin, favoring California-grown crops or authentic certified imports from Thailand, India, or Pakistan. If a bag merely states product of USA or leaves the origin blank, it is a massive red flag that you are buying high arsenic, commodity grain from former southern cotton belt fields. Rule number 2. Actively seek out brands like Lundberg Family Farms that aggressively test for heavy metals and maintain public transparency about their results. When a company willingly stands behind its laboratory data, it has earned a spot in your cart that an anonymous corporate blender never can. Rule number 3. Treat premium aromatic claims with extreme skepticism unless they carry official certifications. Look for the Thai Home Mali seal on jasmine rice to protect your family from the rampant industry practice of cutting premium lots with cheap, non-fragrant fillers. Rule number 4. Pivot to alternative grains to break up your cumulative heavy metal exposure. Rotating in organic quinoa from Trader Joe's or bulk farro and barley from Sprouts cuts down your collective intake while boosting your family's overall nutrition. Rule number 5. Throw the standard absorption instructions on the back of the bag into the garbage and cook your rice like pasta. By boiling your grain in 6 to 10 parts water and draining the excess down the sink, you can physically wash away up to 60% of the inorganic arsenic at absolutely zero extra cost. Food Safety Magazine has show 1. To sum up this entire journey, the modern rice industry is fundamentally built on an aggressive wall of opacity designed to keep you buying blind. They know that rice acts as an absolute sponge for soil contaminants, yet they leverage legal loopholes to ensure the everyday bags bought by millions of families carry zero heavy metal warnings or precise origin data. They count on the classic health halo of words like enriched or whole grain brown to mask a broken commodity stream that routinely fails the safety benchmarks we set for infants. The moment you shift your thinking from assuming all rice is equal to demanding geographic accountability, you stop being a passive target for corporate cost-cutting. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this investigation and investing your valuable time into uncovering what really goes into our bodies. If this breakdown opened your eyes, please share it with a friend or a family member who cooks rice every single week, because the people we care about deserve to know exactly what they are serving. I want to hear from you directly down in the comments. Look into your pantry right now and tell me, which of these major brands is sitting on your shelf? And if you want to know how deep the corporate food deception goes, make sure to check out our expos on the hidden additives lurking in everyday supermarket oils. Stop buying the marketing, start reading the origins, and take back control of your kitchen. Stay safe out there.